applications, word problems. These do tend to be a little harder for most people because you have to read and interpret what you're reading to come up with the equation. Now, a lot of these are set up and worded similarly, but still there's different ones. So you have to work and think to get your equations. So whenever we're going to read through it, and then we're going to figure out our variables. We're always going to be looking for or trying to find two different things, and we're going to state those two different things. Then we're going to write the equations, and then we're going to solve it. You can use RREF, the calculator, to solve it. Okay. So number 1, Landon babysits and works part-time at the water park over the summer. 1 week, he babysat for 3 hours and worked at the water park for 10 hours and made $109. The next week, he babysat for 8 hours and worked at the water park for 12 hours and made $177. How much does Landon make per hour at each job? So what two things are we trying to find?
How much money he makes from babysitting and how much money he makes from the water park.
So the amount of money he makes babysitting and the amount at the water park. So we're going to have two variables. What two letters would make the most sense for this problem? I mean, you could use X and Y, but
W and B.
I'm going to use letters specific to the problem. Like W would be the pay at the water park.
Where's that pop at?
In the back pocket.
Pay at the water park. And then B is the pay at, or the pay, not at, pay babysitting. So you also need to be more specific. Don't just say water park and babysitting. What about the water park? Are we talking about the pay? Are we talking about the number of hours? Are we talking about how many miles he traveled to get to the water park? You got to be specific. And what this problem gave us was 2 different weeks' pay. So we have like 2 situations that are basically telling us the same thing. That's where we're going to get our 2 equations. So my first equation, if I was writing it, if he babysat for 3 hours, I'm going to say 3B. Because wouldn't you take your number of hours times your pay? Doesn't that tell you how much money you make? You times them, yeah. So 3B plus equal to $109.
Oh, I thought you was like adding
3 and 10. No. So 3 times the babysitting pay plus 10 times the water park pay is going to give us our total paycheck, or our total deposit, amount of money that week. And then what would the equation for the other week be?
It'd be, I don't know, 12B.
Hold on. Which one goes with the babysitting?
It'd be
8. And make sure you keep your variables lined up. So if I started with babysitting in my first equation, I have to start with babysitting over here. So 8B plus 12W equals 177.
Just talking. You don't have to equal sign lined up.
It's okay. I still have everything in the right order. And then we're going to do RREF in your calculator with 3, 10, 109, 8, 12, 177. If you weren't here and didn't get the notes and stuff for the RREF, pay attention. If you go back to the previous lesson, the steps are on there. So, okay, so you said you got a decimal. Could a pay an hourly rate is that always a whole number?
No.
No. So sometimes with these word problems, decimals you're gonna get decimals, and that's appropriate. Okay. Now sometimes a decimal would not be appropriate. We'll look at that in a minute. You hit second, so the blue button, and then you go down 3. It says matrix in blue. You click that button.
Hey, how you do it again? And I was like, doing some math.
Second, and then down 3 buttons. It has matrix in blue. It has the X with the -1.
I don't know how to go back after the decimal.
Hit clear. Just clear out.
Oh, you did.
Second, and then X with the -1.
Okay.
Scroll over to the right to you get in the math menu, and then either go up or down until you get to B, R, R, E, F.
Oh, I already did this part. I thought you meant like you was doing something else.
No, okay. And then it's alpha, zoom, and then we type in the matrix. 3, 10, 109, 8, 12, 177. Hit enter. And remember, the final column are your 2 answers. Now with word problems, we're not writing this as an ordered pair. We have 2 different values. You probably missed a negative or something. Oh, it's it's 109, not 107. So the top number, what does that represent?
That represents the pad one.
Okay.
The B,
What is the B?
the babysitting.
What about the babysitting?
That's how much they get paid now.
Okay, there we go. So he gets paid. So babysitting is $10.50 per hour.
I ain't gonna lie.
He's getting paid cheap at the,
Where'd you get
the water park.
So is it like, what? Where'd you get the 10 at?
He thought it was a 1 and a 0.
Oh, I thought it was just 1.5.
No.
I know. It was
And then the water park is how much?
$7.75.
$7.75 per hour.
That's all.
So when we're talking about money, you need a dollar sign. You need to have 2 decimal places. It's not just 10.5. Money's always got 2. Are there any questions on that one?
I'm guessing if they miss the sign, you'll fail us on the test.
No. Number 2, you are running a concession stand at a basketball game. You're selling hot dogs and sodas. Each hot dog costs $1.50 and each soda costs 50 cents. At the end of the night, you made a total of $78.50. You sold a total of 87 hot dogs and sodas combined. How many hot dogs and how many sodas were sold? What 2 things am I trying to figure out?
Oh, no.
What about the hot dogs?
How many were sold?
How many? Okay, so what letter would you probably use?
H.
H. So I'm just going to put the number of hot dogs.
Or you can put D for dog.
Okay, whatever. And S, number of sodas. If you prefer just to always use X and Y, that's fine. You would put X equals the number of hot dogs. Y equals the number of sodas. But I want to see that. I need to know what those variables mean. So I kind of have 2 separate things going on. I'm telling you the amount of money made, and I know how much each one of those cost. But then I have a total amount of items sold. 2 separate things. That's where we're going to get our 2 equations from. So what do you think How would I get a total cost? What would I have to do to figure that out?
Divide.
Not divide. What would I add? What?
How many sodas you sold? Like the number, like they're $1.50 a piece.
So how would you figure out how much all of that made?
You add the hot dogs and the sodas sold.
So the number of hot dogs and the number of sodas is $78.50.
So do 87 times 1.50. Because if you got hot dogs cost.
Hot dogs are $1.50.
Yeah.
I'm not going to multiply that by 87. What am I going to multiply that by? $1.50 times what?
87. Depends how
No.
many hot dogs you
No,
sold.
87 is hot dogs and sodas together. It's like I sold 87 items. We need to know how many of those items were hot dogs, how many of those were sodas. Times it by what?
Each hot dog costs $1.50.
$1.50 is each hot dog costs $1.50. So I'm going to take $1.50 times my number of hot dogs. So if I sold 20 hot dogs, I could take 20 times $1.50 would tell me that cost. So my equation, I've got the $1.50 times my number of hot dogs, so times H, plus the 50 cents times S, times my sodas. And that's going to total up to be $78.50. So you take the number of hot dogs times how much they cost a piece, and the number of sodas times how much they cost, and then add all that together. And you get $78.50.
How do you know how many hot dogs you sold?
Well, that's what we're going to use. We're going to figure out. That's our end goal, is to find out how many hot dogs. Now I know that I sold a total number of items that was 87. How do I get that 87? What would that equation look like? How do you have a total number of items? What is that made up of?
Add them all together.
Add all what together?
Sodas and hot dogs.
Sodas and hot dogs, right? The number of hot dogs and the number of sodas added together is 87, right? So H is my number of hot dogs plus my number of sodas equals 87. Number of hot dogs, number of sodas equals 87. If you don't have a number in front of H or S, what should I put there? 1, right. So we're going to do RREF, and that's what's going to give us our number of hot dogs and our number of sodas. Okay. So which one would be, so you got 35 and 52. So 35 what?
Hot dogs?
Okay. And 52 sodas?
Yeah.
Why do you know that the 35 was hot dogs?
That's the first number.
The first number, we used H first in our equation, and the 35 was the first number. So 35 hot dogs, 52 sodas. Would this have been a problem where decimals would be appropriate?
No. Yeah. Yeah. $1.
As my answer? What is my answer asking for?
Oh, never mind. The total number of hot dogs.
Yeah, are you going to go to
half a hot dog.
they're not going to sell you half of a hot dog at the concession stand, and then just divide that in half.
That's why I'm working at a concession stand.
On the contrary.
I'm going to give all the people half hot dogs. Save more money.
Half a pop. Was it fun to
All right, any questions? All right, number 3. Marcy bought a total of 20 used books and CDs during a yard sale, and her total was $54.50. If books cost $1.50 each and CDs cost $5 each, how many of each did she buy? So here, this one is set up a lot like number 2. We have a total number of items sold, and then we have a total cost. What two things am I trying to figure out?
Number of books and number of CDs.
Number of books, number of CDs. What letter should I use?
B and C.
B and C would be practical. Number of books. If you used X and Y, that's not wrong, but C is the number of CDs. So see if you can kind of look at how we wrote the equations in number 2 and see if you can come up with them for number 3. So if 20 is my total number of items sold, that would be my number of books plus my number of CDs. So my number of books, which is B, plus my number of CDs, which is C, should equal 20. B plus C equals 20. And then my cost, books were $1.50 each, so I would use 1.5 or $1.50 B plus 5C equals $78.50. And I'm going to use RREF in my calculator. 1, 20, 1.5, 5, 78.50.
That's about 13 books.
Wouldn't that 78.50 be 54?
Yeah, yeah,
That's not gonna be crazy.
a little bit.
I'm trying to find out.
I'm not so crazy that those numbers came out of nowhere.
13 books?
They were from the last question. So what did you get?
13 books, 7 CDs.
Anybody else agree?
I agree with
You agree? Okay. 13 books and 7 CDs. Any questions before we go to number 4?
Let me tell you now.
You and a friend go to Tacos Galore for lunch. You order 3 soft tacos, 3 burritos, and your total bill is $11.25. Your friend's bill is $10 for 4 soft tacos and 2 burritos. How much do soft tacos cost? How much do burritos cost? So you're going to have, this one is similar to number 1 where you kind of just have like 2 of the same situation happening. You have your bill, you bought tacos and burritos, you have your friend's bill that bought tacos and burritos. So what do you think your 2 variables would be?
this. Oh, B and S. What do you mean, like the numbers?
No.
What variables would I be using?
S, B,
S for what?
tacos.
What about the soft tacos? The number of them?
Order.
I told you how many you ordered.
How much they cost?
What's it asking for?
Your total bill.
Your cost. That's for your cost. So I know some of you said it, but so S, I probably would use T just because S really looks like a 5. So T, I would say the cost of the soft taco. And so B is the cost of the burrito.
What's T for? Total?
The cost of the soft taco. T for taco. Okay. Write what you think the equations might be. Alright, so your bill. 3 soft tacos. So you're going to take 3, we would multiply that by the cost of them, plus 3 times the cost of the burritos is going to give me my total bill of $11.25. And then my friend's bill is 4T plus 2B equals 10. Do what?
I'll have to tell you the answer, but.
Did you have those right equations?
Yeah, I put the .00 beside the 10 though.
That doesn't matter. So you should be doing RREF with those numbers in a matrix. And what did you get for the cost of the taco? $1.25. So tacos are $1.25, and then burritos.
$2.50. I'll put the 0 at the end. Let me do it.
Yeah, if you're like when you're actually writing out the answer, your final answer, if it's money, you need to put two decimal places. Any questions so far? Okay, let's go. Number 5. Now, I will say, number 5, you can probably just figure this out by your own reasoning, doing math in your head. But we're still going to set it up like a system, do the same thing, because you might have some other numbers that aren't as easy to figure out. So, there are 2 numbers. If you add these 2 numbers, you get a sum of 12. Sum means you add. If you subtract the 2 numbers, their difference is 4. Find the 2 numbers. If you know them, that's fine. For my variables, we can just use X and Y. You can just pick any 2 letters to call them. X and Y, A and B, whatever. So I'm telling you that you add them, that equals 12. You subtract them, that equals 4. So what would one of my equations look like? Yes. A plus B, or I used X and Y. So X plus Y equals 12. And so what would my other one be? X minus Y equals 4.
Why would you minus?
Because it says if you subtract the 2 numbers.
I was just making sure you know.
So RREF, I'm going to have 1, 1, 12. What would be on the bottom?
1 negative.
1, negative 1, 4. So you add the 2 numbers, so X plus Y equals 12. You subtract them, X minus Y equals 4.
0 and 1.
That's what I got.
0 plus
Oh,
1
why
equals
did you do
12?
Nah, I did it
4
wrong.
number
I
difference.
put a negative 1 beside the X on the bottom too. That's a lot going back to the re-relationship.
Yep. 8 and 4.
8 and 4, yeah.
So I got 2.
Me too. I was just making sure like no one checks that.
Number 6. The school that Stephanie goes to is selling tickets to a choral performance. On the first day of ticket sales, the school sold 3 adult tickets and 1 child ticket for a total of $38. The school took in $52 on the second day by selling 3 adult tickets and 2 child tickets. Find the price of an adult ticket and the price of a child ticket. So I want you to see if you can do this one. Get as much of this one as you can. So I would have used A, and that's the cost of an adult ticket. Don't just put A equals adult. Be more specific. C is the cost of the child ticket. And so it would be 3A plus 1C equals 38. 3A plus 2C equals 52. Make sure you keep your numbers lined up. The second sentence started with the 52. That doesn't go there. You have to keep it in order. So then we'll do RREF. 3, 1, 38. 3, 2, 52.
Like if we're doing this on a test, so we gotta like write the R or EF like that. Since we know how to do it in our calculator.
So on the test, you might have a question like this, and it would be, it would have like two separate boxes. One box would just be wanting the final answer. The other box would say to write come up with the equations. And it will say, make sure to define your variables. What that means is I want you to put A equals cost of the adult ticket, and then you could just give me these two equations. You don't have to put RREF and all of that on those questions.
I'll just write the letters.
So, from this, we get $8 for the adult ticket.
$14 per child.
And $14 for the child ticket.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of money for a child.
It's because the child ticket comes with a box of goodies. You get popcorn, a pop, a candy bar, and a teddy bear.
All of our school was like that, you know?
That's what.
I'll be going on the paper ever now.
Alright, number 7. Allie cleaned out her purse and she found 23 coins. What coins were they? All quarters and dimes. When she counted her money, she had $4.10. How many quarters did she have? How many dimes did she have? So what two things am I trying to find? What about the quarters?
Number of quarters, number of dimes.
Number of quarters. And D is the number of dimes. Now this one's tricky because the problem doesn't explicitly lay out all of the information you need. It assumes that you know some information. What information do you think I'm talking about?
How much a dime, how much a quarter is worth.
Yeah, it doesn't tell us that each quarter is worth 25 cents, but do you know that?
No.
Hopefully. Dimes are worth 10 cents. Okay. So, remember, quarters are worth, how would I write 25 cents?
0.25.
0.25?
0.
Or 0 point. And dimes would be what?
0.5. 0.5.
No,
A dime is worth
10 cents. Nickels would be
Wait,
worth,
are nickels like the little bigger ones?
yeah.
Man, I always get the dimes and nickels confused by the name. I don't know. Call me stupid if you want.
Okay.
Alright, so 23 coins. That's a total, like we had with the books and CDs, that's the total amount of items. So how do I get the 23? Q plus D. The number of quarters plus my number of dimes equals 23. Where does this $4.10 come in?
How much you got the total?
How would we calculate the $4.10?
0.25 Q plus 0.10 D equals 4.
Yeah. You take your number of quarters times 25 cents. So if you had 4 quarters, 4 times 0.25 gives you $1, right? So it's, let's see, it's 0.25 Q plus 0.10 D equals 410. How many quarters?
Well,
How many dimes? Very good. We will stop there for today.